Hello, everybody. We'll start here in just a couple seconds. Appreciate you all for joining. See some friendly names, some familiar names. I see some new names. So, the normal spiel. Welcome, welcome, Marvin. Welcome, everybody. Um, yeah, the same old spiel. If you got questions, put them in the QA. If you want to raise your hand, like we already have one, I'll answer yours first for sure. Um, yeah, no problem at all. So we'll start with the question with the hand raise. I appreciate, we'll get right to business, but we're going to give people about another I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds to kind of pile in because I see some people are in the waiting room and it says they're connecting right now. So I just don't want them to feel like they missed the question or context or anything like that. So we'll give them about, I don't know, another 30 seconds, 60 seconds, something in that world. Um, yeah. And if you don't mind, I've got some more stuff in the chat too. Can't stay. Just want to make sure the link worked. Thanks. No, thank you, man. Thank you for letting me know that it worked. So, glad we could find a solution for you, Martin. Yes, sir. All right. Cool. Great. So I will go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started right now. I do just want to give my quick 30-second spiel. I might give a longer one later. We put these on YouTube. That's the link up here. Feel free to type in decision support on YouTube. Find the channel. We make videos all the time. We put these videos on there. We do two plus, maybe 2 to 4, sometimes 5 videos a week on there on just various content. And then on the bottom right, we have a solutions marketplace, which you can access from decisions, which I'll probably show you here in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute. And you are more than welcome to kind of uh, tell me what you want to learn about. So I see you unmuted, but I'm not getting any volume on my end right now.
Hi,
Oh,
can I speak,
yeah. Hey,
Robert?
I can hear you now. Yeah,
Is this Robert or Jeremy? I'm sorry.
this is
It's
Robert.
Robert.
Yep, Robert.
Hey, how are you doing, Robert?
Great. How are you? And how do you pronounce your name?
My name is Shabarish.
Shabrish.
Mark.
Thank you. Gotcha. Thank you, Shabrish.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. How can I help you today?
Yeah, actually, we are working on one project and there is one step called start transaction. Okay.
Okay.
So it's in production. I'm not sure. Maybe it's connected with disconnected with the uh, database. But when they initially ran that, it says uh, there's an error in this step and someone has been notified. So, so this is some generic error, and how can we check where is the settings done?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple things there. Um, and I might have to get a little more clarification on you. So you're saying just to kind of recap, you have a flow in production,
Correct.
and then a through a step,
As a
a
start transaction step.
start transaction step. It says an error has happened,
Correct.
and it says someone has been notified, but you don't know how someone was notified and what the error
Correct.
is.
Yeah. So how can we configure that message or how can we change that?
Sure. So my guess is, yeah, you got a couple options there. Um, yeah. So I'm going to show you essentially what I think. You might have two paths here, so I'll kind of create one here. Um,
Are you sharing your screen, Robert?
I should be, am I not?
No.
Oh, okay. Dang, I had the whole time. Was I not sharing it the whole entire time? Okay. Sorry about that. Well, we'll go back to this. This is Robert. This is me. Apologies. I thought I was sharing my screen, but
No problem.
somebody should holler at me about that. Um, cool. So, and what was the name of the step again? Catch
Start transaction.
transaction. And is this a
Start.
part of is this a part of a
Yeah.
module? Nope, start transaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start.
All right. So I
Yeah.
don't have a ton of familiarity with this, but I just want to kind of talk about the error handling exception path part, and then maybe we'll help clue us in. So
Maybe if you can take the other one, the third one, which says database
this one,
ROPS. Yeah, can you take that?
yeah, I don't
Let's
know
see.
if I have any data on that database though. So that's the only.
No, but
Um,
yeah, this is the same one. Yeah, you can
okay.
go ahead.
So
Have
my
the
guess,
same step.
yeah, my guess is. So do you have an outcome, an exception path off the step, or do you have a catch exception path in your flow somewhere? Do you not know?
Let me check that right away. Just give me a second, okay?
Yeah. Cool. So,
I
why?
see, no, add outcome for exception is not selected.
Okay. So what that means is, so I'm going to kind of talk about a couple things here, and I'll maybe put some things into context. I also do have a video on YouTube that talks about some of this, and I'll send this when we're done talking. But just in case I'm talking fast, I do have more content on this exact topic on YouTube. But so essentially, you might have uh, steps in your flow that might error out for a number of reasons, right? And I know you want to get to the heart of the reason, but I know you were saying that you wanted to customize the message as well.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So, um, we'll start there and then we'll talk about maybe troubleshooting the message. That might be something more towards the support world so they can actually see your flow. Like these go on YouTube, so I can't have you share your flow or anything. Or because it's just we don't want to accidentally reveal customer your information, some other customer's information. But essentially, let's
Mm-hmm,
go ahead and replace this and let's just hypothetically say, just to give us an error, because without
mm-hmm.
context of your flow, it's going to be hard to say. I mean, I don't mind giving it a good old try, but let's hypothetically say that this is called right. Let's just go ahead and hypothetically say that, and we'll even do this just for a quick one. Worst one is it? Wow, kind of looks like yours. So, um, so what ends up happening is you basically have a couple options here, and I think these are kind of good for the stability of your project. Um, but so let's say I'm trying to divide 0 by 0. I know every single time I run this, it's going to fail. If I start debugging, I'm going to get an exception every single time.
Correct.
Um, but so what you can do is on certain steps, if you add an outcome path for exception like this, you can create logic. So um, I'm just going to show a pop-up. I'll talk about the log steps and all that stuff here in a second and some more error handling steps. I just want to show you the functionality as quick as I can. But with this, I can go subject, exception message. No, we'll make this the exception message because it comes out of that path and we'll make the subject. Let's go with below data, date time or something like that, just for some, user. Sure. Oh, well. All right. So because I added this path here, this show outcome for exception, now if I run
Okay,
this step, right? It's going to show that pop up over here and it goes down that path anytime there's an exception. So you can create custom messages. You put a send email step to notify an administrator. You can add um, some more exception handling steps, which I'll talk about here in a second. But that is one way to kind of handle or set up a message. Another, what you probably have, right, is this.
no, actually, I'm aware of this step, but the problem is there is a lot of code which is already written, and
Mhm.
we are we cannot change everything right now, right? So
Yeah.
if there is anything like sometimes the users keep getting someone has been notified, and they want to know who has been notified or what is that email address or something like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be so more than likely if you're getting an error message, you probably in your flow somewhere, do you have a catch exception somewhere?
No.
No?
Oh, yes, I have a catch exception there.
You said you used to?
What did you ask?
Do you have a catch exception step in your flow somewhere?
Yes, yes, we have a
Okay.
catch exception.
Yeah, so that catch exception is going to work the same way, rather than hitting this step, any step that you have in your flow, if it hits an exception, it'll go down this path. So if you're looking to troubleshoot how your message is programmed, written, or you want to customize it, I would look after that catch exception step between the catch exception and your red end step and look at the steps that you have. So you might have in that section somewhere, like a send email, right? And I know that
Okay,
that text is kind of big and large. But in here, you might have something along the lines of like body, merge plain text, and you might have a huge brick of text saying, hey, this is the message, this is the full trace name, or whatever the stuff is.
okay.
And then the to section right here, you might also have
Mhm.
mapped out the same way. You might have it select from flow and say, hey, we're emailing the person who submitted this, or we're emailing the constant. Like I could put to admin at yourcompany.com. And as long as you have your
Okay,
SMTP server set up with the from credentials correct, it'll send an email to, whoever that
Hmm.
person is.
So
Um,
this catch exception is a general exception for the complete flow.
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think I
Got it.
actually have a let me see if I have a project built out that's kind of big here. I'm pretty sure I do because I just made a video on this a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago at this point. Um, did I customize this one? Nope. I probably have gotten rid of it in the time being because
No,
it's
I
been a
guess
couple
this is the
weeks.
answer for that. Maybe I
Hmm.
need to analyze what is that catch exception, what we have here.
Yeah,
So
and
how, next question can I ask you?
of course.
So how can I put some comments on the flows? Like if someone wants to understand a little later, like this we're doing this particular logic in this particular thing like that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a
So
number of places you can kind of organize that stuff. Putting that link in the YouTube right there. So that's the YouTube I made for Catch Exception, talking about logging. So yeah,
okay,
you want to be better organized. We want to be able to, identify what a flow does, right? And things along those lines. Are you in version 8 or version 9? So I can just show it to you
uh,
kind of how you're
we're in
labeled.
version 8.
No problem at all. Okay, let me jump over to a version 8 instance and log in, and I'll kind of talk about it from that angle because version 9
8
has
point.
some,
Okay,
yeah. The one that I'm about to show you, we're on 8.19, but it'll be
okay,
similar. I just didn't want to show you too much 9 stuff. 9 has a lot of great features for organizing your project and um, keeping your users organized. There's to-do sections. There's project kind of like a notepad area where you can type things out. But let's say I have a project in version 8 and I've kind of, I want to start documenting what certain flows do or don't do, right? Or certain designer elements. So you're going to have a handful of options on that. Um, so let's start with flows. With flows,
okay,
the fastest way, in my opinion, is up here on the info tab on the top left. You can just add a quick description. That's going to be the quickest and path of least resistance. This flow is to show inline editing. The form is assigned to Bob Smith, and you could save all this stuff out. And as well as you can add tags. There's comments down here, so I can add a comment saying, "Hey, today, whatever today's date is, 2024. Today I added a um, catch exception um, step to my flow, and save it out there.
okay.
Um,
But if we have very big flows and we want to segregate what route it is following and what logic we're doing inside that.
so you have very big flows, and you want to organize the how you have the
Right.
subflows
So I
organized.
want to give some small text and say that
Ah, yeah,
this
no
is
problem at all. Yeah, so you can do something like this. Um, So I'll show you one that I built out in version 9 because I think it's helpful. But let's say you've got a huge flow with a ton of stuff in it. A quick way to do it is there's actually a step in decisions version 8 and version 9 as well for just labels. And you can just add a label saying this section is to compute the total cost or whatever you might want it to say,
okay.
and you can add labels there as well. We have a handful of label options, as
Okay.
well as within these labels, you're going to have configuration options. So you can,
Mm-hmm.
adjust, you can put all of a certain category, whether it be finance labels in red and HR labels in
Right.
blue, and keep yourself
Yeah, this
organized
is
that
what I
way as
was
well.
looking for. Okay. Let's
Yeah.
leave. Okay.
And another,
Uh,
just let me show you one while we're at it. And you can go and ask your question while I'm kind of driving here. Okay, here. So just to show you.
If I may also add, with the label thing that Robert showed, you can also default your flows to all like have to have a label in it. So you can have a flow that when you create, instead of it being that blank white canvas, you can say, hey, here's the default flow, but it has an icon on the top left and it has a kind of a title line and then a label on the title line that says add a description of what this flow does. So that every time you create a new flow, it always prompt the UI or the decision developer to actually comment their code, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. So like they're saying, yeah, we can just you can also kind of templatize that process so that people know that if that thing is left blank, they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. But just here's an example of like me taking notes for a process that I made. Like I put some, small notes here and bigger notes and this stuff that, I'm building. I also put a screenshot of my data so I can keep track of what's going through. But just, yeah, the labels are great. I mean, another option that I think people is underutilized is, with all these steps, you can change the color on them to keep yourself organized in that capacity as well. I know this is kind of maybe a niche thing, but you could say, oh, I know that all of my filters are going to be in this color here. And as you kind of go through, it just helps keep you organized. Because at times, like you were saying, your flow can get so big, and it's just hard to tell what's going on anymore. Naming steps is important. I know this isn't a good example of me naming steps, but that's another decision's best practice is renaming steps and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate it. It was a nice chat.
And I have one more small question. If I have some time, I can ask you, or I have
Yeah, can I
stopped now.
yeah, I definitely want to, and I 100% will answer. Do you mind if I float through some of the other questions and I'll come back to you?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah,
I'll wait. No
cool.
problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you, man. So I got a couple more questions in the chat, and thank you everybody for them. The first one is there an easy way to translate UI into other languages? That is not something that I am familiar with. I do know that we do have translation tool in decisions, but it's a fairly manual process. When it comes to automatic translating of it, I do not know of an overlay or anything that would work for that. I think I see some people typing in the background here um, on our side, seeing if there's a way to do it, but um, not a built-in for our user interface. Um,
We have a couple of, if you can go to the documentation site or
yeah,
not documentation settings,
yeah, okay.
doing the language translation. So we do have that.
Yeah,
The difficulty I think with that one is that, let's see, language, I don't know where it's at. I think it's in settings. We have to search around for it. Let's see, language.
I'll hit documentation because that's my best
Exactly, yeah.
there.
Import other languages. Let's see, importing and exporting a language. It's in security accounts. Because you can specify a
System data.
language, system data. Okay, that's what it was. And I think you have to build out that kind of list of what kind of flow would be translated to.
Yeah.
Or, if you're changing into another language, yeah, you have to add a new language. And then I thought there was a project. I want to find, let's see, example, I thought it was like translation. Like we had a project that would help the translation of that, build it out. Google Translate. Yeah, so here's one that might help.
Is it in the
Basic.
solutions marketplace?
It's in projects in the documentation side. I'm gonna put this in here. I don't know too much about this, so this may work. I'm gonna post it in for everyone. And if it's in the chat, Rob, if you want to click on it, take a look at
Mhm.
it. So this one allows you to, I guess, enable Google Translate and have that translate things for you. It has a couple of setup, and then you can get support for the languages, and then you can use the main translation language flow, and I think it outputs. Um, let's see, what does it do? I think it will output all the things for the specific text. So if you scroll down, there's a cool GIF that shows you that someone translated kind of all of their basic stuff from, I think, um, has started, and then it'll translate from English to Japanese, I think, in a second. Yeah, scroll down. No, scroll down to that GIF. Just wait. See, boom. So you see the translated string for there, and so then it will generate that list for you. So that's kind of the extent that I'd know of how to do it. So let me know if this helps, if there's more clarification or more questions on it. We
Yeah.
can definitely take it back with some other team members.
There is
Uh,
a module as well called Google Cloud that you can install to your decisions that provides a translate text step that you can use within flows.
wow. Thank you. That's great, man.
Perfect.
And you said that's under which module there,
Google
Gregory?
Cloud. It's
Google
called Google
Cloud.
Cloud.
All the way up. You passed it.
Did I?
Yep.
I thought this
Top.
Did I already
All
have
the
it
way up.
installed?
Yep. Google Cloud right there.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
right.
sure enough.
There's my problem. I already had it installed. I was looking alphabetical and didn't realize it was, yeah, cool. So let's just do a quick, and then Smitha, we'll get yours in about 10 seconds. I just want to see if I can find that step just so we don't
Oh,
give them
well, we need to add the dependency.
dependency. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Lightning speed here. Everybody can see how fast I am at my dependencies.
Forgetting to add dependencies is kind of like when you go into a new year and you still keep writing like 2023 at the end of all the
Yeah.
dates.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so let's see if we can just find that thing real quick. You said it's under Google, probably?
It's going to be under integration and then
And
Google
then Google
Cloud,
Cloud.
translate.
Look at that.
There it is.
So that might help you out as well. Again, I don't have a ton of experience with it, there, VT, but at least it's something you can play with. And thank you, Gregory, for that. It was a blessing. And Jared as well. We'll move on to Smitha. I'm going to unmute. And thanks again, everybody, for these questions. This is really awesome. Truly. Here we go. Got you unmuted. I'll read the question out loud. But hi, I need to allow users to update a set of records and write back to the database using a form and interface. Please suggest what is the best option so that the complete grid is always ready. Maybe read only. Yeah, it's okay. Read only, and only the selected record is editable when the user clicks on it. Or should we have a button and open another form to update this? Is there a checkbox in decisions? Okay. So we got a number of questions there. I might just take them in a linear order and then do a build out based on my understanding of it. So in a linear order, the first question looks like the best option so that the complete grid is always ready and only the selected record is editable when the user clicks on it. You're going to have editable options for certain fields of that. It depends on how you're putting this data on the form. Um, um, do you know if you're using inline advanced data grid editing? Are you doing some type of data repeater? What is your methodology for showing that data?
We can use anything, but we
Oh, okay.
don't want to, the whole data should not be editable. It should be a read-only grid, basically. And only when the user clicks on something, either that row becomes editable, or should I have like a form or something like that? I don't know. It's the best option.
Yeah, that is a good question. That is a good one. Edit form data. I'm not super sure about that. We'll build it together, so I'm not trying to be dismissive, but we'll have to just build it because off the top of my head, nothing is coming to me as like, oh, I know that solution. I do know the last question. Is there a checkbox in decisions? Yes, that one I know for sure. The add button option as well, for sure. That is an option.
We've used the add button, but what I was wondering is like the checkbox, right? I'm assuming if you have a checkbox, it'll have all that selected parameters in a variable or something. Do I need to go into another form for them to update it? How does it work if I use a checkbox, like going to next page or whatever is the best option in decisions?
Yeah, that is a good question. What do you want the next page to have? Just the data so they click a record, they click a button, and then they can edit it on the next form?
Right, like now if you
Yeah.
have something like this, right, like name tags, modified by, modified date or something, they click on it, they should be able to edit, say, only the tags.
Yeah, that honestly sounds like a pretty good building paradigm to me. I can build it out a little bit. Edit only on click is what I'm gonna call this form or this flow. And I'm just gonna end up really quick just because I know a little bit of a build out here and I don't want to hold everyone hostage. I'm going to basically fetch an entity that I know exists. So I'm going to fetch a decisions framework built out structure. I'm going to use that to populate something on a form and then hopefully either use a sub dialog button or some type of active form flow to give you a new pop-up to make it editable in some capacity. It might not be a pop-up, it might be some type of enabling because you do have by default in forms, you can leave something unenabled, which means they can't edit it. And then when an active form flow runs, you can then enable that field. So it might be, are you going to be doing okay, so I do see in the question, a set of records. So it's not one record at a time. Okay.
It can be one record at a time. I think that's better. Like we don't want everything to become editable. everything in that record, so it should not be editable for sure.
Right, but you want the form to show all the records at some point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Initially, yes.
Okay, cool. All right, let's rock here. Again, you have a number of options. I know you said that before you guys had worked with buttons, which means you're probably using some type of advanced data grid. So
Right.
I'll tend to stay with that for now, and I'll see how far into it I can get. But we might have to make some changes there. So again, you pick the type, you pick the input name. I'm going to call this all accounts, and then I'll map it in outside of the flow. You got to make sure here on grid mode that you're selecting some type of inline editing. I know that we don't want to be able to edit everything, but I want to test, run a quick test first and make sure that this works before I start breaking it down, as they would say. So the data display, what did I miss? I was probably editing the actual report, huh? Data grid, what am I missing here? Oh, I probably didn't map the entities in outside of here. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Love it. All right. Still nothing. What am I missing? We are getting results. Love that. We are getting some data in. So what am I missing on my data grid? Oh, there it is. Yep, I didn't have the field report set up. So on here, let's go with email address, created on date. I think it's just created on. I cannot spell. Okay. Cool. No filters. Cool. All right. So inline editing is enabled. So again, I know that's not what you want, but in order to get there, I just wanted to make sure we could get that part built out. Apologies if it sounds crazy in here. All right. So we want to essentially make it so that either a checkbox will unlock the ability to edit a singular record, or what do you want your methodology to be again?
It could be anything. Like I just want to know what's the best reference. If they click on a checkbox, then it should, if it is possible that it can become editable, or somehow by clicking of a button, only that record can either open another form, or if that becomes editable, that's the best, if it is possible at all in decisions.
Yeah. So the more we're talking about it, the more I'm leaning towards that sub dialogue and showing another form. Does anybody else want to give I don't mind continue building, but I'd like to maybe get a better strategy here before I start just kind of willy-nilly. And the part that I'm kind of held up by is not adding a button and not having another form where you have editable actions. It's easily connecting some type of data grid or um, data grid or a I can't think of the other one, in a way that's performant. I don't want to do any type of run flow on a report. I don't want to do anything like that. Because in a report you have the option where you can do some of these less performant actions, which I won't even waste time showing you. So I'm trying to think of a way
The
to
click
run.
one's fine.
Say it again.
The on-click one's fine.
On click. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
so like
cool.
the one that we use in our self-paced module where it says edit, that does not run unless someone left clicks it, so it's not a performance hit. The flow inline field is the one that you want to avoid at all costs because that automatically runs the flow on the report load.
Okay. So can you help me with setting up the on click there, Jared, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so data fields,
Mhm.
and then it's going to be a calculated column. So you just scroll down, you
Oh,
can't
true.
search for it, yeah. Scroll down, expand calculated columns, and I think it's gonna be a run flow inline field. And then it should ask you display text, so just display text for right now. Display text,
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to read
show
here.
editor,
Okay,
Oh.
show editor. Yep.
right there, and then just type, run me, just could be whatever. And then save.
You'll wait. He needs to check show UI, otherwise forms won't come up.
Perfect, yep, thank you, and then okay. Just click okay, we won't configure
Yeah.
it all the way, but just to show the UI stuff. And so now save, and
Mhm.
then now go ahead and close and just debug your flow. And then now you have that run me. So if you click on that flow, it doesn't do anything, but you can click on it and then it'll run that particular flow that you have. And that could display, if you have extra properties you want people to edit, you can say, hey, I want, that's to edit it. And then that will run that flow. So that's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is also a data repeater.
Mhm.
You
No, that's
could
what I
do
was
it that
wondering.
way.
Yeah.
That would work if you do a data repeater on that. So those are the two best ways. But yes, I think the only way you could feasibly do that is you'll have a data repeater tied to a sub-dialog button or a report viewer with that kind of run flow inline. So it's not to be confused with the flow inline field. Smith, the flow inline field you always want to avoid because it will be a horrible performance hit on your system.
Mhm.
But the run flow inline field is okay because it only runs when a user left clicks that.
Okay. But when we did that run flow thing, right? Like it would pick up the parameters in that grid, and only that would be editable.
Yep, for that row, for a specific row, correct.
Yes. Okay, great.
So if you go into that flow, Robert, and just create a new, so you can just kind of see the type of flow behavior. It creates a report field action flow handler. And what that does is allows you to click on the data explorer and then see how it says selected row right there. So that it would provide that selected row and however many fields you have, you can get it by that. So that's how you can easily say, okay, if I click on the row that has Jared on it, then it will only interact with Jared. And then you have all the properties associated with Jared.
Could I run a, let's see. Yeah, you can. Okay. Well, we don't know that actually yet. Cool. Any more clarity we can bring for you?
I think this is very helpful. I'll try it out and maybe I'll get back to you guys maybe tomorrow if I have more questions. But this is very helpful. Thank
No,
you.
yeah. No, thank you guys. Thank you for the questions. This has been really nice. I've been learning a lot too. This is like 4 or 5 new things in one day that I'm learning as well. So awesome. Thank you guys all. I'll focus on the backside for the support. So we got a couple more minutes here. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free. I will gladly walk down those lines with you. But I do kind of want to cover just a couple things. Just broad stuff I think is helpful if you're trying to lunch and learn. Again, I know I talked about it earlier. We do have a YouTube channel. I know if you go to YouTube and type in decisions, it can be hard to find, but if you remember, just type in decision support, it can be a little easier to find. And we are constantly updating new videos. So again, lunch and learn from yesterday, the day before, and we've just been adding more stuff. We did a new video on 9.3 release notes, which has a lot of AI common functionality, which is really, really cool and slick, which I might show here in a couple seconds. I'm gonna mute for a moment here. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too loud. Sorry. We are in the process of making our space more enjoyable here in Virginia Beach. So yeah, we did extension data. This one's epic. Really, really great. Done by Jeremy. Really thorough because extension data is kind of elusive in terms of how it actually operates in decisions, and this has got a lot of great information. Some stuff with more depth, get data pair names, get property names on objects, action visibility rules. We've really been kind of trying to pump out so like I said, in the last, 2 weeks or so, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 14, 18, 22 videos in 2 weeks. So we are really, really pumping them out. So The last thing I'll show you really quick, or maybe not the last, but the next thing I'll show you, we talk about it all the time. But I do think it's really great, especially if you're in that kind of middle stage of um, development or in your kind of learning journey here with decisions. Just remember that on Project Hub, both in version 9, or not Project Hub, but in version 9 App Store up here on the top right, in version 8, it's in a similar location. We have all these accelerators that are built. And I know that for the most part, some of these things are not going to they're not going to apply to your business. But one thing that I do maybe encourage you to do is on some of these, read the description on what it does. You can then download the project and just take a look under the hood and see, maybe how things are built. It might, inspire you in a different way, or you might see a cool way to iterate through or to optimize the performance of your flows. So as an example, like dynamic questionnaire is one of these that's up here. Again, you might not be sending out dynamic questionnaires, but it's a cool way to download and kind of just take a look at, how some things are built. We have a number of flows here, how to update settings on the fly, how some forms are designed, and you can look through and say, oh, okay, some of this may or may not apply to you. But I just think it's a useful tool in that world. And I'm actually building out a couple videos for these right now as we speak, which is why I'm talking about them. So AI Commons project. I guess this is a 9.3 feature, but while I have time, I'd love to just kind of share you what I think is really cool and, kind of future looking here in decisions. As many of you guys might already know, under administration features, we have a ton of modules. In 9.3, which is what I'm currently on here, 9.3, we added all of these AI dot, suffix, whatever, vendor, I guess you might call it AI dot vendor name attachments. So we have Google Gemini, OpenAI, which is an addendum to the old OpenAI module. So both of those still exist. So if you were using OpenAI in the past and you update, it doesn't go away. You can still utilize those flows. We have AI dot, and then there's a suffix. The advantage of this is that when you go through this process and you install AI Common in your flows, so in this project, I already have all those things declared as a dependency. I just have already built these out. So AI Common, Anthropic, and OpenAI. I didn't do Google Gemini. Let's go ahead and add it for now. Gemini. There it is. Cool. So the advantage is here that I think is really kind of cool and slick is in your flows. Like when you scroll down, you'll have this new AI category. And because it's alphabetical, look at it right there up top. So as you might already know, you can go through and create chat completions with some of these modules, right? So you can go to Google Gemini, chat completion, OpenAI. We have a little more options with OpenAI because we've had that a little bit longer. And if you wanted to, you can go, okay, I want to use Anthropic, I want to use Google Gemini, and you use their chat engines. However, the real convenience of this Common AI module, which I think is a really great feature for a lot of people, is if I go to Common here and drag over Common Chat Completion, right? You can override the default provider and pick one of your providers, or what that kind of, and again, you can do that for your model, you can do that for your prompt, all that stuff. Or what is really great is you might have a bunch of flows that have chat completion step in it using that Common module. Now, when I go back to my system settings over here, and I go into Common, there it is, Common AI settings. What am I missing here? Maybe it's under, apologies, maybe is it here? I'll do what I did yesterday. I'll just find exactly this the other day. Let's figure out where that setting is again. Oh, nope, it's in this world. But it's a system setting. Apologies. I know that we have there it is. It's under integrations. How could I miss that up? So under integrations, AI, add AI defaults. So then you can, on the fly, just change your model. So you have one chat completion step that runs through. When new models come out through these various vendors, it's just a matter of changing a Dropbox, going to the new one. Go to the new one. We're going to try and keep those updated. So again, it's this AI Common is a really cool tool to kind of make comparatives or just to swap on the fly based on, the ever-changing landscape of that AI world. So what final questions does anybody have for me? Feel free to hit me with your best shot. If not, we'll probably close this thing out here in just a couple moments. And again, I appreciate everyone for attending. All right. Thank you guys very much. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. We'll run this back at the same time, same place. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.